Good morning. My name is Helen Majemite. I am the founder of Women for Social and Rural Development Initiative, an organization committed to the social economic development of women and girls. Thank you, Obi, for inviting me to lend my voice into this conversation. I'm really very excited when given the opportunity to speak on issues regarding women. Particularly the underserved women, I call them the underserved women. So, why is it that you have to invest in the rural women this time? Investing in rural women is a no-brainer. Women, as we know, are the backbone of the family. In Africa, where I'm from, women are predominantly farmers and predominantly farmers. Studies have shown that women plow back more than 80% of what they get of their income from farming into the into the health, well-being, and education of their children. Education is something you cannot that cannot is very critical for any community. But these women have challenges. They lack infrastructure. They don't have enough resources, and that also limits their productivity. So investing in them in terms of having more resources to do their farming and improving their skills will grow a lot. It will reduce the poverty rate of that community. Poverty rate will be reduced. It's also going to help the girls, yes, the children, the young girls, seeing their mother doing more will help them, boost their confidence, and it's a game changer. They're change makers. I would say women are change makers. Yes, women are change maker.
One of today's themes is that rural development should not be about urbanizing rural communities, but about creating places where people can build fulfilling lives. From your experience, what investment in women, youth, and families are most critical to making rural communities places where people choose to stay and thrive?
Thank you once again, Obi. In your presentation, you did mention that, what makes an area rural? America mentioned is not just infrastructure. It's much more than infrastructure. So you're asking now what's today's theme, what's opportunities, if I get the question more, all right? What investment in women? I feel education is very critical. Education is key for investing in rural women, in women in the rural area, I don't say rural women. Youth, family, education is important. Infrastructure, you really can't go wrong with infrastructure. Access to finance. Sherilyn talked about AI, artificial intelligence. I don't know if we got to that stage yet, not really. But I would say that we should stick for the rural communities. Just give them the basic things that they need. These are the basic things that they need for them to, get to their, to really thrive. I'm focusing more on them being sustainable on their businesses. So I would say the infrastructure is critical, for funding and government advocacy. It's also very critical for giving them opportunities for the rural communities. I would also want to add the private sector involvement in rural communities. We are all, whether you like it or not, we are all from, let's say, rural communities. Yes, if you date back our generations, we're all from somewhere. And giving back is important for us. Give back. That's why the ESG is important. To go back to your community and see what can you do, what can you contribute, what impact do you want to give to this group of people? How would you, it's something that we all have to come together to say, yes, we need to do something for this, for our rural community. The earth is the it's big enough. There's no space to say, it's big enough to accommodate everyone. So you developing a rural area, some people like to stay in a very quiet environment, right? And we tend to see that in our rural environment than the urban because of more people in the urban area. So when you give these things, when you develop your rural communities, they thrive, they do better. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Helen. So yes, totally. Um it's always it was always it's always the best thing to invest in rural women and youth and families, and investments, funding, CSR, corporate social responsibility from the private sector. So that's excellent. So thank you. Your work is grounded in inclusion, dignity, and opportunity. Looking ahead, what does an inclusive, resilient rural community look like? And what practical action should governments, organizations, businesses, and citizens take to ensure that no rural community is left behind?
Thank you once again, Obi. Uh, for us, inclusion, dignity, and opportunity to a woman is also what we expect in a community. That to me is also connected. And what is inclusion? Where everybody, be it a rural woman, a youth, a girl, they are given the basic amenities to thrive. Dignity, we have access to healthcare. Healthcare is very critical. Safe food, safe space, um, digital opportunities to work. So it's very important. I also want to talk about culture. Most of these rural communities, they have their culture. We should realize that their culture is what they were born into, and using I wouldn't want to mention community. I don't want to mention some names, but the culture is very critical in communities. They want to be in their mode of dressing. So inclusion is very critical. I don't want to mention names in that aspect. And you asked, how does the government and the organizations come? How does it play to make sure that every people are not left behind? It's not far-fetched. We talked about the corporate social responsibility for the private sector. They should play their role in that aspect. Government should give the basic amenities to this to the rural communities, and businesses also. We are very particular about women here. Buy from women, buy proper, source your products, source your goods from women. Because we know that when women are empowered, like I've always said before, the women are caregivers. They're naturally caregivers. They tend to provide better for their families. They provide, not tend to provide. They provide better for their families, and it also goes ahead to the communities. And women also, we have clusters of women as is it cooperatives we call them now, where they have groups of women into various products, right? Those in agro space, those in retail business, so coming together to work. So it's very critical that the government and organizations help this group of people. And with that, it's inclusive, yeah.